Good morning, respected teachers, senior colleagues and colleagues. I'm Dr. Mustafa Umar. I welcome you all to the 2025 Research Methodology Workshop of ARD UDUTH. This is our sixth week. Today, our presenter is no other person but the chairperson of Education Committee of ARD UDUTH. She's here today herself, Dr. Asma Owali from the Department of Community Medicine, UDUTH Sokoto. Today's topic is creation of a questionnaire in a web form or ODK software. Join me all in welcoming our teacher for the day, Dr. Asma Owali. Chibma, you are highly welcome.
Our able Vice President of the ARD UDUTH. The efforts you put in this research series is highly appreciated. Who's trying to make sure that every session is not missed according to schedule. Good morning, our respected participants. Sorry, I don't know if Mr. President is around, the President of the ARD UDUTH. Good morning, and good morning, my other colleagues and all other participants here present. So, as Dr. Mushaba has highlighted, today, today's session is also going to be a practical session because we are going to demonstrate how we're going to create our questionnaire, online questionnaire. Before the tradition in research is usually the questionnaire that is used before is mostly the hard copy questionnaire, whereby people have to undergo the stress of printing lots of papers and distributing to respondents and having to wait for respondents to respond, go back, collect the hard copy questionnaire. So now with the advancement in technology, it is now possible for us to create our questionnaire online. Then we can distribute it either online or we collect our data in person, still using the online questionnaire with the aid of our mobile phones applications. So today, I will take us through how to create this online questionnaire. But before then, I would like just to highlight briefly about the questionnaire. As we have learned last week, the last week's session was on development and validation of questionnaire. And I remember it has been the tutor for that day in person of Associate Professor Habibullah Adamu has clearly told us that a questionnaire is of different types. And categorically, he has mentioned that we can have these based on method of administration of the questionnaire. It can be a self-administered questionnaire. It can also be an interviewer administered questionnaire. So these two categories of the questionnaire can be both in form of hard copies and online copy. So just for us to know that the online questionnaire can also be in form of either self-administered or interviewer administered. Now, the self-administered is the type that we commonly see that is being shared mostly when individuals are conducting research. We see that a questionnaire will be sent and the researcher will plead with people to kindly respond to his questionnaire, whereby a link will be attached to that questionnaire. And if you click on the link, it takes you directly to the questionnaire of interest. So that type of questionnaire is an example of self-administered questionnaire, because the researcher is not going to be with you. You are getting the questionnaire and you are going to fill it on your own at your convenience. However, it is an online questionnaire because you are not dealing with any hard copy paper. You're just going to fill it online using your phone or your laptop, as the case may be. So now the other form of the questionnaire, which is the interviewer administered, is the one that you, the researcher, with the aid of some research assistant, will have to sit down, like face to face, interview your respondents. However, it is online because you're going to use your phone. The questionnaire is going to be in your Android phone, and then you follow the question one by one and ask your respondent, and as they respond, you now select the appropriate response, and at the end, you are going to submit it online. So similar to the others, the web form, the other link where individual will feel self-administered, at the end, for each of them, you are going to submit it online, and the researcher will be able to access this submitted responses online via a web link, via a website which he has created, which we are going to do this morning. So now, some of the advantages of the online questionnaire over the hard copy or the traditional hard copy questionnaire is that for this online questionnaire, it's actually cost effective, because before you have to spend a lot of money printing hundreds of papers. And if, for example, let's say your sample size is up to 400, you have to create or you have to print, a questionnaire of 400 respondents, and that questionnaire may take up to 4, 5, 6 pages, depending on your research objectives and depending on how wide your questions are. So you see, by doing this online questionnaire, you have saved yourself a lot of costs of that printing. Now, another advantage is that this online questionnaire can go as far as you want. For example, the website that I explained earlier, where you send it via groups, WhatsApp group, via email, and so on, it can go to as far as you want. For example, it can go throughout Nigeria, it can even go internationally. So unlike the other hard copy, you may be restricted to the area where you are. But now we have witnessed, I'm sure, we have witnessed a lot of that. Some researchers, maybe from some other parts of the country, will share their questionnaire in different platforms, and respondents will fill the questionnaire as they need be. Then the other advantage is that it's time efficient. So why did I say that? It saves you a lot of time. The process, sometimes you have, for example, the hard copy that you have to wait for people to respond in case of the self-administered. This online, once an individual responds, it's just for him to immediately submit it. He's going to submit it online. You don't have to go back to collect it, or he'll be waiting for you to come and, collect your papers. So it saves you a lot of time. And also, it saves you a lot of time when you come for your data analysis. For the hard copy questionnaire, individual will have to sit down after collecting your responses from the respondent. You have to sit down and enter those responses into either your SPSS or your Excel manually, meaning all, like if you have, for example, that I said earlier, 400 sample size is 400, you have to sit down and enter all those responses of 400 respondents manually onto your Excel or SPSS page. But with this online questionnaire, as soon as you submit your responses, it's just for you to go and download it, and you can download directly into your SPSS, and you see that all your responses will be there. So it saves a lot of time. And then even issue of accurate data. With the online questionnaire, you'll be able to put some restriction, like the required field. I'm sure we have filled a lot of online form. We see that some questions will have aesthetic, telling us that it is mandatory. You cannot pass without answering that question. So that also is another advantage of the online questionnaire. You'll be able to do that. But like in the hard copy where you submit, you give people. Some people, mostly, there are questions that may be sensitive. So individual may not want to respond to those questions, and they can decide to ignore and leave it. And you won't know until when you collect your responses and you're entering your data, you realize that you have a lot of missing data. Some may not put their age, some may not put their sex, some may not put their occupation, and so many things like that. So with the online, you'll be able to put those restrictions that an individual will not be able to move to the next question until the previous question has been have been responded to. So anyway, having said that, I don't want to take much time, but I'm saying this so as to encourage us, because I noticed that for the last year, even after having done this session, I have come across some residents who still went ahead to do the hard copy questionnaire. Probably they are not much familiar with this, but let's understand that it's more advantageous for us to use online questionnaire. It saves us a lot of time. It saves us a lot of missing data, a lot of costs. So even if we don't get everything from this session, let's try and make extra effort to learn it more, so that we move ahead with technology. There is no point after this advancement in technology, and then we have to keep suffering trying to enter data manually, trying to use papers, So yeah, basically, so having said that, I think we can go ahead. I can go into the topic of today proper. So there are different websites that you can use. The common one that people are more conversant with is the Kobo Collect. But even I think during the last research series, I took us on Kobo Collect. But for today's session, I'm going to introduce us to owner.io. Some people may already know it, but
Hello, ma.
for those that are not, yes, I'm doing that. So for those of us that are not familiar, let's know that the owner.io is also another website that we can create
Hello, ma.
online. Hello, Dr. Mushaba. Am I not audible? Hello, Dr. Mushaba.
You are, ma, except
Hello?
that we can't see your slide yet. Good morning, ma.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, ma. Thank you, ma.
Yes. So is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so yeah. All right. Okay, so I was trying to say that, so I'm going to take us through I'm going to use the owner.io to create this questionnaire. So I was trying to say, I think a number of people will be more conversant with the Kobo toolbox or Kobo Collect. I personally took it during the last year's research series, but this time around, I want us to try the owner.io, which I came to realize later that it's quite easier to use and more user-friendly. So the first thing to do is to create your own website. You're going to create a website, a web account. Okay, when you create this web account, now it permits you to build your questionnaire, and then from there you'll be able to upload your questionnaire to your SPSS. And afterwards, by the time you share your questionnaire to respondents, either via the web link or via the with the self-administered interview administrator with the aid of research assistant, every response that is submitted will go directly into your website. So you'll be able to go back and access all your responses. You'll find it on your web page. Anybody that responds, if you go, you see it keeps updating, from your respondent number 1 till all the responses have been submitted. So, but to do that, we have to create an account with the owner.io. So I hope some of us have our laptops by our side. Most of these things are easier done with laptop rather than phone. I know some people are more used to using phone for almost everything, but there are some applications I think that they work best with computer rather than the phone. So able Vice President, please, I need to know if I have some few people with computers so that we can follow, or if no one is, which is from there, then I can go ahead. So the first thing is for us to go to Google. From my screen, what you are seeing is a registration page, right? Where it says create your own personal account, right? Hello, Dr. Mushaba, can you respond?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello,
So the first, yes. Okay, so I want to take us back again. Is my screen still visible? No.
Yes, ma, it
No.
is.
Okay, so you can see what are you seeing? Are you seeing the new Google window or the initial one that I've shared?
Yes, ma, the Google window.
Okay, fine. So now, once you come to Google, what you need to do is just to type in the word owner.io. So once you do that, you go ahead and search. So if you search, it will bring you here. Please, are we together? Can we see the owner.io website? Okay, so I'm going to click on it and it's going to take me to the, okay. I've already registered with this, my Gmail, so it's already taking me to this, my page, which I've already created earlier. But let us know that once you click on it, it takes you to a page that asks you to either sign up or to or to log in. So if you click on the sign up, it brings you to this page where we can see username, right? Then you are we together, please? Dr. Mushaba, please, is it you or Dr. Alpha? One of you should be responding, please, so that I know if I'm being
Yes, ma, we are.
So now let's create the account and see what username. Well, so I think everyone should try to create his own account. So for me, I can create my username as this, and then my first name, then my last name. Please, is the screen visible? Is what I'm typing visible to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm not quite sure if it will allow me to create another account because I told you I already have an existing account. I just want to take us through it so that we see, but I will go back to the initial account. So here we create a password. For those of you that are following, we can create a password depending on what you want to put.
I click on that with the password. It's now showing me the subscription panel, whether I can go for free, standard, or pro.
Sorry, please, I didn't get that. Somebody was talking about it. I think I had someone.
Since you already create an account, so yeah. I'm just creating my own now.
Okay,
and
yes.
It took me to a page that shows choose a personal plan, free, standard, yes. Pro. So should I select free?
So you should select the free, yes.
Okay, clicking continue. So okay. I'm sending the screenshot to the group. It now says, are you collecting EU citizen data? Is it no or yes?
No, you are not collecting EU citizen data. Sorry. It's no.
So I should click no, right?
Yes, click on no.
No. Save. So it took me to the page.
Okay, so did it take you to a page where it shows you new projects?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sharing the screenshot in the chat box. The participants, it shows welcome. Take a minute to learn about projects, sharing, and getting the most of honor.
Yes, you can just skip all those steps, then go to new projects.
Okay, so
Yes,
next.
Just keep skipping.
Then this is home. Okay, it's showing next. When you log in, this, next. Then it shows me explore a project page. Or should I just click skip? Okay, I'm on the page.
Well,
I'm on the page, just like your own page.
Okay,
but it
so
says you do not have any
yes, so you can see there is a place where it reads new projects, right?
Yeah.
Can you see where it says new projects?
Yes, let me see it. It says, I sent the thing actually. It says add a form builder, upload a data set, share.
Before that, you need to create the project first.
Okay. It just says add a form or learn how to create using XLS.
No. I'm
coming,
sorry.
back or something.
Where did you say you are sending the screenshot so that I can? Is it this on this Zoom?
I saw the new project now. I'm on your page, just like your page. It's just that your own has ARD research series. My own shows AB Catacombs project.
Yes, because
so I saw the new project in orange.
So yes, is somewhere on your right hand side, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, not necessarily. But if you see the new project, just click on the new project so that, So are you seeing my screen?
I'm seeing your screen.
So on my screen, you can see also, if this ones that you see, AID Research Series 1, this Mount Faris project, they are projects that I have created before. So what it tells you that once you have an account with the owner, and whether owner or co-box, but okay, let's just restrict ourselves to the owner. Once you create account, so it gives you room to create as many projects as possible. For example, let's say, for example, you are doing, you are going to do your part 2. You want to create a project for your part 2, which means you are going to build your questionnaire, right? For your part 2 work. Let's say you also maybe are involved in one master's research, you also can create your questionnaire for that, which means you create another new project for it. Another, so if you are doing, maybe let's say some of us that do undergraduate supervision for undergraduate projects, you can also come here, for example, if you want to, work with them or guide them, you can also create another project. So it gives you room to create a number of projects of your choice. Now, it keeps this record for you so that at any point in time you want to go back to that project, maybe get some data, edit some questions, you can equally go and do that. So that's why you are seeing this, my 2 projects, which I have created earlier. If you can see this one that says I created it since 2023. So anytime you come, it takes you to your existing page, and then it gives you room to create a new project. So I want to go to create a new project now. So if you come to create a new project, it brings up this window and asks you that the project that you want to create is of which category. Okay, so let's select the category. The category is basically maybe let's say the specialty that you are interested in. So for me, I want to create a project related to health. So I will select on health. Then it asks me to give the project a name. So what name do we give it? ARD Research Series 2, because I already have ARD Research Series 1 earlier. So let's say ARD Research Series session, something like that. Okay, please, are we together?
Yes, we are, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll create a project. It's a public project, limit 1 exceeded. Okay, create a Okay, big. Okay. So I don't know if you can see what it shows here. Show all. Can you see on my right hand side? I have where it says show all. After sorted, date created, blah blah blah. At the top corner, at the top right corner. So I have all. I have private. I have public. So if I select, let's say I select all project. Okay, that's what it's showing initially. Public project. So this is a public project. Okay, let's create private and see. Okay. So I've selected private. I'll go back and create. Initially, it was public, and it's telling me that I've exceeded. So I've selected private now. Let's see. And I'm going to give the project a name as I've written earlier. So instead of the one, I said series 2. So it's telling us that we have exceeded our limit for public projects. Okay, but I've selected private. Let's see. Okay. Probably because it is a free one. I'm not sure where we have. Because it should allow us to create as many projects as possible. Okay, so just to save time, let's see. So I'm trying to see if I can delete it so that we quickly just go ahead and create a new one, and then later we can look into why it's restricting us from creating a new one.
Omar, you can use the existing ARD research if you close there. If you can just use that existing ARD research, I will share my screenshots of what I did, so that it will allow the participants to have a feel of somebody creating a new account. I don't know if you can see it now.
It's fine. Please, let's do that.
Are you good with it? So at one point we are on create own personal accounts, that free. Are you collecting EU? I said no, saved. It took me to the welcome page. Then the new project, right? So I think after this new project, let me add the remaining slides. I keep copying them from my screenshots file.
Hello?
Hello, Ma, can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me, Ma?
Yes, I just heard that.
Yes, I'm trying to just like upload what you just did based on So much so that if you can't delete it, let's just use the screenshot I was able to create. Are you seeing it on the screen now? It's coming up. And pasting it so that it will just be like. So, yeah. Next slide. So, to PowerPoint. Okay, ma. Can you see it now? I selected new project, like you mentioned. Are you with me, ma? Hello? Then I selected account. I typed the name of, it shows my name. Then category health, NPMCM part 2 work. Then that's where I am now. So maybe if you can just continue from your own existing ARD series, since we reached the point of where you want a new account folder to create. So I'll stop share.
Okay, Chief Katagum, I think her network fluctuates.
Okay, sir, she's
So,
offline, right?
Yes, yes.
But did you see
She's
what
back. She's back.
because, yes. But did you see the point where?
Yes. I had you welcome, ma. So let me reach out to her. I think it's a network.
Hello, sorry. I thought, okay, have you gone to where you create you are still on the sign-in page?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So your network went off. I said based on this
Yes.
sign, I wanted you not to delete the project in case. So I said since I have my screenshot of the new account I opened. So this is
Yes, I
like
actually didn't create. So okay, so
this is the free, this is no, this is the welcome page. Then that place that shows new project.
Yes.
I click on new project. I now took my mouse to account. It now highlighted my name.
Okay.
Just like yours. Then I select health category. I now select NPMCM part 2 work.
Okay.
Then it took me
That's
to
the
this
name
page.
again.
So
Okay.
that's
So
why I
this is
said you
where
can just pick up from here. Thank you,
so this is where we are now. Okay. So
yes, please.
yes, I can go ahead and start the new sharing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Okay, so yes, after you have opened, okay, let's see. So after you have created the project, yeah, so can we see the screen now? Hello?
Yeah, we can see the screen, man.
So please, the projects that we created, under the project that we created, we can create a number of forms. That's a number of questionnaire. So what I was trying to say earlier, that we'll be able to create different questionnaires. So it is after we can do that in one project. Sorry, it's not from the project. So we have to create the project. Then we now, in using that project, we can now create various questionnaire depending on our interest in research. So yes, it's not the project that we can create, it's the questionnaire. So if we can look at the top menu bar here, it says add a form. You have form builder, you have upload data set, you have share, all those things. So what we need to do now is to create a form, since we are going to create questionnaire from scratch. So we can create a form, click on the form builder. So when we click on the form builder, sorry, I need to press this one. So it brings us here. So this is our questionnaire page. This is where we put all the questionnaire that we want to do, all our questions for your questionnaire. Now, one thing that we need to remember is before creating this our online questionnaire, we must have created our Word document questionnaire. We must have our questionnaire, which we have developed, as was discussed in the last session. So that questionnaire is what we are now going to bring into this form. Okay, but the thing is, we need to pick our questions one by one. It's not like we're going to upload it directly. We need to pick the questions one by one and apply all the settings that we want it to have. Okay, so starting from the beginning, this is how the form looks like. So you see this plus sign is the one that allows you to add questions. So that's the beginning part. Please, I hope we're all following. So once I click this plus.
Yes, ma.
Yeah, so once I click this plus, it allows me to now type in my question. Okay, now the easiest way to do it is when you want to create this your form, you should have your questionnaire open in another page. I have an existing questionnaire here. I just click it. I hope it is visible. Can we see the questionnaire, or I have to it?
No, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you seeing the
we can see, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So yes, so you have to keep moving from your Word document questionnaire to the online questionnaire. But the good thing is you can copy and paste. Okay. So for your questionnaire, let's say this is a questionnaire is for one project that has already been conducted. Now this is how it is. So the way it is like this is how you are going to create it also in your form. So this heading here that says questionnaire on expenditure and time spent for antenatal care in a tertiary hospital in northwestern Nigeria, we need to put it and put this introductory part. This is, the introductory part to your questionnaire. Dear Ma, we're finally having this and that. So all this, I'm going to copy it from the heading. Okay, I think I don't need to put the name, but just know that you need to put everything here, the names of the research assistants, okay? I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to copy, and then I will now go and paste it as my first question here. So I'll do a Control V, right? So after pasting it, the next thing is for me to click on Add Question. So I click on Add Question. Now, when I click it, it brings me to this page. Now it is here that I'm going to select the type of question that I have put, and that will determine also the type of response that I'm expecting. There are different options here, okay? Now, if you remember, it was discussed in the last session, a questionnaire can be a closed-ended question, open-ended questions. For the closed-ended questions are the ones that we commonly use for our quantitative research, while the open-ended usually mostly for qualitative research. So for this one, most of the time, the close-ended, most at times you give options. You give a question and you give respondent option to select one. So that is why you see here select one. So if, for example, we have a question that says, for example, let's say sex, that has options are male, female, right? So you want the respondent to select one of the options. So this is where you make that selection. Now for this one that I put, the one that I copied, that introduction, we call it note. So you are not expecting respondent to respond to it. It's just a note. You are giving like information to the respondent, but a response is not needed for that. So I'm going to select note. I will explain the other ones as we go ahead. So this is note. So I will click on note. So this does not require any response. So we can see it has already put it the way it wants. Now this question hint is if there's any additional information like that you want respondent to do, so you can add, for example, now that I said we don't need response, we can say no response is required, or we can give it like introduction so that the respondent will know that it's just an introduction to the questionnaire. So, and once I do that, it remains there. Sorry, put a double I. So introduction, right? Or if I want, I can make it like no response required. Just for us to know, the hint is just like a further explanation to the question. Now I move to the next. If I want to add another question, I still go ahead to click on this plus sign, and then I go back to my questionnaire and pick another section. So now for this is a consent, right? At the end of that note, you are asking respondent whether he consents or he agrees to your research or not. So we see that this has a response of yes or no. So I copy, usually to make it faster for me, I copy the whole of it, including the options. I copy including the options and now paste it onto this page. So consent, do you agree to take part in the research? The response is yes or no. Now I go to add question. When I go to add question, it now gives me room to select which type of response am I expecting. Is it a single response that where a respondent will select one? And in this case is one. So he is going to select either yes or no. So he is required to make only one response. So I click on select one. So when I do that, it gives me this option as option 1, option 2, and you can keep adding depending on the number of options that you have. Sometimes you have a number of options. So I'm going to cut this out, the yes or no, and put it here as my option 1. I don't need this bracket, so I'm going to delete it. And the same thing, I'll come back and pick my no. I'll cut it from here. I'll delete the bracket. Please, is my screen visible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
you are.
Okay. So the next thing that we need to do after putting our options is to give our options value. Now, SPSS, as we know, that's mostly the software we use mostly for analysis. It uses numeric values. It understands numbers. So that is why, even though our responses are in text, we need to give them values so that when it goes to analyze, it uses those numbers to analyze, but the text will also come as well, but it's the number that it will use to make our analysis. So we need to give value from here, and that's one advantage of this. Otherwise, if you're going to use the hard copy, you have to go and do this, giving the value manually in your SPSS after you have recorded your responses manually also. So, but once we do it here from here, we don't have any problem. It will automatically will be able to download everything, the text and the values that we give to our text. So for each of the options, I'm going to give it a value starting from 1. And then my second option, I give it 2. If I have additional, if I had additional option, I click on this, it gives me option 3 and I give it value 3. So but I don't need that now, so I'll delete this. Then I move to the next question.
So, ma'am,
right?
can we call this as a coding? The way this 1, 2, 3 you put, is it like you're putting a code?
Well, it's actually, they are called values in SPSS, but it's something similar to coding. You are not really coding anything. You're just giving them, it's just numeric value. You are giving the numeric value just for the SPSS to be able to recognize it and be able to make analysis, but you are not coding. I think coding has specific values. For example, the values may have meaning. Maybe if you say 0, it means 0. If you say 1, but this one that you're just giving value according to the number of options that you have. Yes. Yes, so there are things that I need to explain, but I want us to have a few more questions, then we can do that. Now, to add another question, I still click on the plus and I go back to my Word document. Any issue? Are we having any issue?
No, ma.
Okay. Sorry, I mistakenly closed the word.
I think Dr. Abdulkadir wanted to say something.
Yes, please, you can go ahead.
No, ma, we're following you. I just opened the Zoom on my phone to make it easier. So I'm watching the Zoom on my phone. Then my computer with internet is on. So I can actually follow it. So I'm looking at two screens. So maybe our participants can do the same.
Okay, I understand. I understand what you're saying. All right. So now the next thing that I have here is section A that says social demographic characteristics of my respondent. Paste it here. I'll go to the add question button, click on it, and then I select on note. Remember, I said note is just like an information that does not require a response. So I go to another question. I move back. Now this first question says age in years. So I'll copy the age as my question 1. And then I come here and put it as my question 1. It comes with the number. And remember, you were told in the last session that it is very important for you to have number for your questionnaire. Each question should have a number. It's easier for you to trace. It's easier for you to trace the question that you are referring to. And then also your questionnaire should also have a number. So, which means that even reminds me that we need to, before starting the question, we need to give a questionnaire number. Ideally, it's supposed to have also been captured in the hard copy questionnaire. I don't know what happened. A questionnaire, even the hard copy questionnaire, usually it has number. So probably this one, it was missed. And then since we remember, we can put it. So before this question 1, I need to give a questionnaire number to this question. Right? I need to create a column for a space for questionnaire number. Are we together? So if I miss something that I need to write, by the time you come to the left edge, at the edge or on the left-hand side, it brings out a plus. That plus will allow me to add another question wherever my cursor is. So for this questionnaire number, I want it to come after the consent. I want it to come after the consent, so I bring my cursor here. Sorry. So I bring my cursor here to add a question, which is not actually a question, a questionnaire number. I needed not to have deleted that one. I can just get the plus here, but sometimes it takes time. So yeah. So let's have questionnaire number here as another field. And I go to add a question. Now questionnaire number, of course, we know is in numeric, either it's questionnaire number 1, 2, 3, up to our last respondent. And it is when you are filling the questionnaire that you give the number, which means if you are asking respondent 1, this questionnaire number will be 1. By the time you move to respondent 2, when you get to the questionnaire number, you give it 2. So that's how you do it continuously until you are done. So let's say, so when you come to the question type here, the question that the option that we select here is the number. Can we see the 1, 2, 3 here that says number? So I click on it, and then that's all. So what it will do is when the respondent is responding, it will be expecting the respondent to put a response that is in numeric, that is in number. If you try to type a word, it will not accept, right? So I now move to the next question, which earlier we said age as our question 1. Yeah, and then I come to add question. So age is also a number, and we are not giving option because we don't know their age. Now, I want to emphasize on one point here. A number of, many of us tend to categorize the age of respondents right from the time of the data collection. It is strongly not advisable to categorize your age at the time of data collection. It's better you collect your raw age. Allow the respondent to give you their age as a raw age. If an individual is 20, let him write 20. If he is 40, let him write 40. If he's 30, let him write 30. Rather than giving the range like 20 to 40 or 40 to 60. So let's try and avoid that. The reason being that for age is a continuous variable, and you would want to calculate your mean age during your analysis. Since we know that when we come to do analysis, we are going to summarize our data. You are not going to present all the ages of your respondent. You have to give an average. Now, for you to give that average, you must have your raw age for you to calculate that mean age. If you have the age in categories, you won't be able to know, because the age in category will only tell you the number of people that belong to this age group. Maybe it will tell you that maybe 20% are within the age group of 20 to 40, but you won't be able to get that average. And it is very important whenever we're reporting our data, whenever we're reporting any research, we should have our average age of respondents. So please, for this, I will select the number, because age is in numeric, is a numerical data. So I've selected that, and then I now move to the next question, click my plus again, go to my question. I now pick question 2. Question 2 is on tribe, and there are many options for this tribe. I'm going to copy all of them, and then when I go there, I will paste them accordingly, just like I did for the previous one. So I paste it here, the tribe, and then I go to add question. Now, when I go to add question, the tribe also is select one. An individual cannot have 2 tribes. It's either you are Hausa, you are Fulani, you are Yoruba, you are Igbo. So it's going to be select one option, and it brings me here. So I'll copy these options one by one. I'll be cutting it. I put this as my option 1. Okay, sorry, option 1 is Hausa Fulani. Hausa Fulani was combined, so I'll add it here. Slash this. So Hausa Fulani, then the next option. The next option is Yoruba. Next option is Igbo. These are the major tribes that we have. So, but we have others, all right? We have others, and this others comes with specification. So what it means is if a respondent does not belong to Hausa, Fulani, or Yoruba, he belongs to another tribe. You are asking him, if he selects others, you want him to specify which tribe is he. Okay, so now remember, I need to give my options values. So I will come back to this side and give them values. I have 4 options, so which means I'm going to have 1 to 4, right? So I have 1 to 4. Okay. Now for these others, you see from this hard copy questionnaire that I copy, it says specify. Now if it were hard copy, once an individual select others, it's just for him to, write the tribe. For us here, now how do we take care of specify? I copy it and create it as another question. So I'm going to delete all these other things here. Am I audible and visible, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this my others, I'm going to put it as another question. Remember, others, the individual is going to type. He is not selecting, so it's not going to be part of my options. The others will be part of my option, but the specify, I have to create another question for the specify. So I'll do that here. I'll what do you call it? I'll paste it here. I'm not going to give it number because it's not a different number. It's a question that is attached to this question too, right? Now I'll go to add question. So when I come here, this others is, as we said, it's not an option to select. We are going to write. So since it's writing and it's not in number, what other thing we have is text. Can we see ABC here, text? Because tribe, of course, is going to write it in text. So I have put the text option, which means the individual is going to put in his tribe in writing. So let us stop here and explain some things. Now, if you look to the right corner of the right-hand corner, you will see here it says save, right? It will be good as we are putting our questionnaire, we should keep saving. At any point in time, if we add something and we have not saved, it will put an asterisk to this save, just to remind us that there are information that we added that has not been saved. By the time I save now, you will see that the asterisk is going to disappear. So that asterisk is just there to keep reminding. Anytime you add a question and you have not saved, it will put asterisk to that save. So having done that, we now go back for all these questions. Now for the age, under this hint, we can put that we want the age to be in years. So age in years. We don't need to put the in, we can just write yes. So that an individual knows that he is going to put his age in years, not what? Not in months. For the pediatricians, that uses months, you can write the age in months, as the case may be. For this example, let's say we're dealing with adults, so put age in years. Even the children, if you want to take it in years, depending on your objective. So if it is in months, you put in months. If it is in years, you put it in years. So the respondent will know what to put. Another thing that we can put as the hint is, apart from age in years, we can also put age in years as at last birthday, right? So this is just further information to tell the respondent you are asking him to put his age as at his last birthday. Because of course, when you're asking somebody, probably he's almost, clicking another year, but he has not reached there. So just let him know that the last birthday is what you need him to put. Now, another thing is on this, our right-hand side corner, we can see there are some icons here. You see this setting here, then there is delete. If you want to delete a question, then this one, if you want to duplicate a question, there are times that we have maybe one question with requiring different options, but maybe it's the same type of question. So you want to duplicate, instead of you to keep copying and pasting, just duplicate the question, and if the options are different, you put, if they are the same, so you can duplicate a question depending, right? And then if you want to add question to a library, okay? Now, mostly what we need is the settings, And it is these settings that allow us to put all those restrictions that I have mentioned earlier, okay? Now, for the age, let's go and see what happened in the settings. So here, you can see our question, it says age, and then there is also guidance here, like the earlier one that we wrote, age in years. So we can put it or we leave it. If we have put it earlier in the question there as question hint, we don't need to put it again here. we don't put it there, we can put it here. All it means is to appear in our questionnaire. The hint will appear. So this mandatory response is what allows people to, is what limits people from skipping a question. So it's usually at no by default. So that means you have every question that you put, you have to come to the settings and make that response mandatory. Okay, so that individual knows that that question he has to answer it before he can move to the next question. Right? Okay, so for the age, this is all that we need. For the hint, then we need to put mandatory response. And that's what we need to do for all our other questions. For all our other questions, we need to put that setting, that mandatory response, so that an individual will have to respond to that question. If there's a question that needs a hint, then you put the hint there. Okay, so we only have 2 questions. Now, the other thing that we need to understand is the skip logic. If you look at the left-hand side corner, there is under this settings, is question option, skip logic, validation criteria. Now, this skip logic, we need it for specific questions. Like this tribe that we have, we have asked the respondent if they don't belong to those 3 tribes and they select others, they should specify the others. So this is where we need skip logic. Okay, what it means here is we want to put a logic such that if you do not choose others, this specify will not appear. You will not see it. But if you choose others, then the specify will appear automatically for you to specify the tribe. Because if you now select, for example, if you don't put it, if you now select Igbo, you said you are Igbo, and then you see that the next question is specified, you'll be wondering, what are you to specify again? You've already, you understand. So it does not appear until an individual select others, okay? So when we want to put that settings, we are going to put the setting here on the question specify, okay? So for specify, I'm going to click on the skip logic. Please, am I still on the network? Am I audible? Am I visible?
Yes, ma'am.
My screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes,
Very
yes, I'm asking because
clear.
Sometimes you keep talking, you don't know that network has already cut you off for some minutes, and before you realize, that's why I'm repeatedly asking now. Yes, so
Yes,
the skip logic. Okay, thank you, Dr. Mushaba. So for this question of specify, please remember, it's not every respondent that would need to answer it, so I'm not going to put the mandatory response. Because if an individual does not choose others, then the specify should not become mandatory. So I'm going to click on the skip logic, okay, to this specify. If I put skip logic, it brings me to these options like add a condition. So where do you want, what is the condition for this skip logic? It gives me also another option that I should select question from list where I want the skip logic to be applied, okay? So I want this skip logic to be applied to question 2. Already I have only 2 questions. If there are more than that, it will bring out all the questions so that I select from the question where I want the skip logic to be applied. Okay, so I'm going to tie this specify to question 2. Okay, so I select on question 2, isn't it? So it now brings me here again. Please, I will answer, we'll do some other questions that have skip logic, so we'll repeat it again so that we'll get it better. So it now brings this. These are the options that I have for the tribe, right? And I want to link my specify to others. Can we see that initially it gave me options to choose the question that I want to attach it, and I selected the question. Now the question has options. So it's now giving me option also to select which option do I want to tie the specify to. So I want to tie it to others because it's only those that select others that need to specify their tribe. I hope we're clear. Now, having done that, I am done with this question and I need to move forward. So all we need to do is put the mandatory response of yes, and then you go to do the skip logic. If there's any question that needs skip logic, you tie to it. So look at my right-hand side or the right-hand side of your screen. You can see my save is already putting an asterisk, showing me that I have done some things that I have not saved. So I'm going to save it. And once I save the asterisk is automatically going to disappear.
Hello, ma.
So let's put, yes, please. Yes, Dr. Mushaba. Hello? Dr. Mushaba, I can hear you, please. Hello? Hello, please, can somebody respond? I had Dr. Mushaba call, like he called my attention.
Yes,
We
ma, I
also
think
heard
it's
him, but
from
he's
my
not
own side.
responding again. Okay.
I think it's from my own side. It was fluctuating. Yes. Thank you, ma.
Okay, so I go ahead.
Yes, ma, please.
Okay, fine. So we have put the skip logic for this tribe, and we're going to put some more questions. But before we do that, I want us to know that as we are creating our questions, we can be viewing it to see how it's going to appear. So this icon here that looks like an eye is the preview form. So if I click it, it's going to show me how my form is going to appear. So far, we don't have much. We have only 2 questions, but we have our introductory part. So this is how the question is going to appear. And I'm sure we're all conversant with this. This is what we normally see when we see an online form, isn't it? Now, look at the asterisk. I'm sure most of us that have filled online forms know that most of the times your email, phone number, you see there is asterisk, and you cannot skip them without answering. Even if you go to submit the form, it takes you back that there is a mandatory response that needs to be answered. Do we remember that? So that is just what this asterisk, that is how we create it, by putting yes to that mandatory response. So now see our note here, the introduction, questionnaire on expenditure, this blah, 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 blah. My hint there is just an introduction, right? And it does not give us any, option or any room to select anything, because it's just a note and does not require a response. Now, but when we come to the consent, do you agree to take part in this research? So do you notice something here for the question on consent? Hello? Dr. Alpha?
Yes, we are online, ma'am.
Okay, so you can, if you check this my consent, because when I put the mandatory response, I only put for the age and the tribe. I forgot about my consent. So you see, it does not have any asterisk, which means the respondent can decide not to answer it and move forward. So let's
not a mandatory question then.
It's supposed to be a mandatory question because an individual must consent. Ethically,
Sure.
You must consent before you go further. But what I'm saying is I skipped it. I didn't remember to put the mandatory response for it when I went to do that for these other questions. So that is why it does not have the red asterisk. Okay, I want us to notice so that later when we put the mandatory response, yes, when we put the mandatory, yes, we'll see that it will change. It will also have. So yes, so let's see the questionnaire. You see, it gives us option. There is a drop down arrow. We can select as a case may be depending. Okay, so let's say this questionnaire number 15, and the age of the respondent also can go in, depending, let's say it's 20. So I want us to note something here. Under this tribe, we see my options, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and others. Can we see that, please? Now,
yes, we can see it.
If I select Hausa, nothing happens. If I select Yoruba, nothing happens. But if I decide to select others, then this specify appears by default because I've already set a skip logic to this question and attach it to others. For all other options, they don't need to specify their options on their own. But it's the others that need to be specified. So it's only when a respondent selects others that the specify option will come. So that is that for that. Now, if I decide not to put anything for this age, I just responded to the tribe. Others specify, let's say, maybe the individual is Ibera or Igala, or as the case may be. Those are other tribes that are commonly available, in the country. So I want to validate. See, I have removed the age. It's telling me that this field is required. Is because I put the mandatory response. For the consent, because I did not put, it's not highlighting it red. So let's take care of, let's note that so that whenever we're setting our questionnaire, we should make sure that all responses that we know are necessary, we need them for our analysis. We need to put, in fact, let's just make it a habit to make all the responses mandatory, except for responses like specify. They are not mandatory because it's not everybody that have to answer them. Now, if I want to validate the form, it tells me form contains error. Please see fields marked in red. And it's just because I did not, put age. For the age, if you don't want to go through the drop-down arrow, you can decide to type it. For example, an individual is 70 years. If you say you have to type up, use the arrow to get to 70, it may waste time. So you can easily type 70, for example. So, yes. So if I ask the form to validate, the said form is valid. But remember, I did not put any response to that consent, but it said it's valid. I did not answer it because it's not a mandatory response, right? We did not make it mandatory, but it's mandatory for any questionnaire that you are collecting, any data you're collecting. Consent is mandatory. But for this, it's just an example. So our form is valid, we can close it, and then we continue to add our questions. So I want to just...
Ma, please, I have a question.
Okay. Yes, please. Please go ahead. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Hajara Dalatu, you can go ahead. Maybe our network is full.
Yes.
Oh, please,
if
how do you now go back to adjust it to now make it mandatory?
Hello, I didn't get you. If what? Hello, what is she? Sorry, I think I only had part of the question.
Ma, I said, if you mistakenly skip that part of making the consent, for example, mandatory for the people to answer it, how do I now go back to correct it to make it mandatory?
Yes, I will do that now. That's why I said I'm using it as an example. So we'll go back and put the mandatory response and then we move. We'll do that, yes. So for this question, I'm trying to look for a question that has multiple responses so that we have what I'm not seeing. Okay, I can make this a multiple response. Okay, how do you pay for antenatal services? So that we can see the different question type. So how do you pay for antenatal services? Remember, this is just an example. So from question 2, this is question 12. But for your own, you have to arrange your questions serially according to how they are in your questionnaire, in the questionnaire that you have developed. Okay, so this question may require multiple responses. There are options there that maybe the individual pay for antenatal using out of pocket. Maybe she has a health insurance. But sometimes you can pay using health insurance. Sometimes even if you are insured, there are times that you have to pay out of pocket. So if the individual want to select, if you want to make question multiple responses, like an individual can select many. For example, the common question is when you are asking an individual about knowledge of something, like, okay, what is have you ever heard about, for example, cervical cancer? You see that mostly the next question that follows is, where is your source of information? Maybe I should use that as an example rather than this one that I put, how do you pay? Let's use a more clearer question. So for example, have you ever heard about, I'm going to continue in the same line with this, the question, health insurance, since the questionnaire is about health insurance, right? It's about antenatal, expenditure for antenatal care. So have you ever heard about health insurance, right? my response to this question is going to be either yes or no, isn't it? So, and that will even give me option to do this, to apply skip logic again, so that we get it better. So my option 1 is, as usual, is yes. So option 2 is no, right? Have you ever heard about health insurance? It's either yes or no. So these are the 2 options. So I go to settings, I make it a mandatory response, and I'm done with that. You can always close, see the X here, you can always close after you have put the setting that you are okay with. Okay. Now for the person that was asking, the consent, sorry, before I forget, you see the consent is one of the initial questions that we answered. But for each question that you put, you see that by the right-hand side corner, you have those 4 icons, including the settings. So even if you forget, all you need to do is to go back, click on the settings, and make the response mandatory by clicking on yes. And then you move on. You are done with that. You go back to the question that you are, and that's how you keep doing. In fact, that's one of the ideas about the preview. You see, I did not take note that we did not make it mandatory until when I previewed the questions. And I noticed that it did not have aesthetic. So that's why it's good, as you are doing the questions, you keep previewing, you know, from time to time, not after every question anyway, but at least after you put a number of questions, you can preview and see if you're on the right track. If there's anything that you miss, you correct, and you go on. Okay. So yes, so for this question, I said my options are yes or no. My questions are, have I put the options? So I don't know if you have noticed what I click. Sometimes it hides the options. It's just to, you know, to give you more room. So, but if you want it to appear, you just click on the arrow. I'm sure we're all conversant with this kind of thing. So I have done that. I put mandatory response to it. So I now move to another question. My next question is, where is your source of information? Right? Since I'm asking, have you ever heard about health insurance? So that's question 2. So I'll make this question 13. Remember, we're just creating this question. It's not part of the other question here. So that's why I'm typing. If you already have existing one, it's just to copy and paste as we have done earlier. So where is yours? Is it where or what is your source of information? What is yours? It should be what, right? What is your source of information? Now remember, we also have to give options. So I'm going to go to add question. Now for this one, source of information are many. We have various sources of information. Individual can hear about information either on radio, on TV, newspapers, or magazines, internet, you know, from family and friends, from the hospital, neighborhood, so many options. Okay. Now, these options are not limited to one response, because it's possible that I've heard about it on radio, and also I've heard about it I've seen it on TV, and also maybe a healthcare worker in my area has also told me, or a friend who has registered for health insurance have also told me. So like I have, like, let's say I have 4 options here. My source of information, up to 4. I've heard from 4 sources. So this type of question is a question that you give individual room to select many options, right? So it's different from the select one. So if you can see the next question here, the next option here after select one is the select many. So I'm going to select many, meaning that an individual can select more than one option. That is just what it means, that an individual, a respondent, can select more than one option from the options that you are going to give him. So my option 1, let me start with radio. Let's say my option 2 is television, right? Television. My option 3 is internet. People don't commonly read newspapers now, but there is also online newspapers. So let's say internet, family and friends. Family and friends. Let's say maybe from hospital, maybe a visit to a hospital. I was lucky to maybe I was enlightened, maybe I went for something else and I was informed about health insurance. Oh, I saw a poster maybe telling us that, like most of the hospitals that have NHIA, you see posters around showing that NHIS services are provided. So maybe that's where I saw it. So I have these 5 options, okay? Remember, for each option, I must give it a label. I must give it what? Sorry, not a label. I must give it a value because that is what the SPSS understands. So 5 options, isn't it? I'm going to make it, now, do I make it mandatory? Can we make it mandatory? What is your source of information? Can I make it mandatory? No, I'm not going to make it mandatory because somebody could have answered no to this question. And if he answered no to this question, and I make this question mandatory, I'm telling him that you must tell me where you heard about it when he already said he has never heard about it. So for that reason, I will not make it mandatory. But what I need to do is to apply a skip logic to it, such that this question of where is your source of information will only appear to the respondent that answered yes to my question 12. For some of us that are used to creating questionnaire or have seen other questionnaires saying, in the hard copy, the way it usually appears is if yes to question 12. It says if no to question 12, move to question maybe 14. That is how we usually write it in the hard copy questionnaire. If yes to question 12, move to question 14, meaning you should not bother answering question 13 because you already said no to question 12. So for here, for the online questionnaire, we apply the skip logic to it, and it's only the individual that select yes to this question that will see that other question. I hope we're clear. And so that's why we're not applying mandatory response, because somebody would have selected no. So if you say he must answer it, what is he going to tell you? So I go to the skip logic again, and then it gives me this option as to add a condition. So I select add a condition, and it also brings me select question from list, just like the earlier one that we did. So it will bring all the questions that I have put. For now, I only have 1, 2, 12. Yeah, I don't have many questions. So it brings all the list of questions. So I'm basically attaching it to question 12, right? So I'm going to select question 12, and then it will ask me to select the option that I want to attach it to. So by default, the first option is one that appears yes. And I'm attaching it to yes, right? It's only the respondent that select option yes, the option of yes, that will now see that question of where is your source of information. And once I do that, since I don't need to change it, you remember the other time when we did tribe, others was the last. So we had to click on the option and select others. But this one, since it's already yes that I need to attach it, and it already appears by default. So because it's set with the first option, but remember, it's just for you to click on that option and all other options will appear, and you select the most appropriate response that you want to attach your question to. So having done that, I will move. So I'm done with this. All I need to do is to move to another question. Okay, so let's see my save. You can see I have not saved, so I'm going to save. And then let's preview again so that we see this question that have multiple options. How does it appear? It's going to appear different from the one that has select many. Visible and audible, Dr. Alpha? Are we seeing the preview? Anybody please can? In case Dr. Alpha is not around. So
I'm around. I responded. Yes, ma. It's crystal clear, ma.
All right. So you can see the consent. Now it has become asterisk because we applied initially, you remember it wasn't like this, right? Okay. So all my other questions are the same. I just want us to see the options here. So this question 12, can we see it? Can we see that we're not seeing question 13? So it's just like in the others that specify does not appear. It only appears if I respond to others. So it gives me the option to specify which tribe I am. And for question 13, have you ever heard about health insurance? So I said yes. So if I say yes, then I'll be expected to answer this question 13. If I say no, question 13 automatically disappears. So remember, this is an online questionnaire, and this is how it's going to appear on your Android phone when you go to collect your data. This is how it's going to appear for your research assistant. So all this information you have to, when you are doing your research training for research assistant, you have to give them this information. For all these questions that have the skip logic, they should know that, so that the research assistant will not be surprised that for some respondent, he did not see question 13 while he is seeing it for some respondent. I hope we're clear about this. So now, the next thing I want us to understand is after selecting a C multiple responses, we notice that for this question 12, that has only 2 options. If I deselect no, if I select no, I can only select one. It's either I select no or I select yes. So, but for this one that has multiple options, it gives me room to select all the options if I want to select all the options. So that is the difference. For the select menu, it gives you room to select more than one option. If I want to deselect, I can deselect as appropriate. But just for us to know that all responses can be selected, or at least let's know that we can select more than one response. So I've selected these 3 responses. Okay. So for this specify, okay, if I don't want to go through the trouble of typing another, so I'll just select another. For age, I'm going to type 35. Questionnaire number. You see, even questionnaire number, we didn't make it mandatory, but we have to go back and make it mandatory because it's supposed to be mandatory. And this questionnaire number, your research assistant must know that he must give number to each questionnaire. But the way you even catch him is by making it mandatory so that he will not go in a rush and skip the questionnaire number. Okay? As our teacher told you earlier, is questionnaire number is when you have a questionnaire number, you easily go and trace where you have an error. Okay, if you know the questionnaire number, you just go to that questionnaire and see where the problem is, and you edit it manually, because mostly it's at the time of analysis that you see all those things. Okay. So yes, we didn't put mandatory, so even if we don't answer it, it will not show anything. So I'm going to validate. It says form contains error because I did not select the consent, right? So I've selected that I have consented. Okay. So validate form. Another thing is we can also put skip logic to this consent, because if an individual does not consent, what it means is you cannot go ahead to answer the questions. You cannot go ahead to ask him questions. So basically, your question will end from here. We can attach the skip logic to it, but that will mean attaching the skip logic to all the other questions, like every question. So we don't need to do that. It might be stressful, but yeah. So if I'm done previewing, I'll just close it and I go back and continue. Now let me take us to other options, whether we have it here or not. No, sorry, to question type. Let me just add another question here. So if I add this question, how much do you spend for antenatal? We know that first is going to be in number, right? It's in numeric since it is money. So when I come here, what do I select? I'm going to select numeric, right? Now I want to tell us that there is also other option here. This one, 1.0 is decimal. If the values that you are looking for or the response is in points, you can select decimal. For example, maybe those of us that may want to use, what do you call it? The age, for example, the pediatricians are mostly, anyway, not only anyone that wants to do research among children. If you want to select maybe 1.5 years, depending, maybe 1 year, 7 months, depending on what you want, or height, height, weight, that, can have points. They are continuous variables, so they can have points. Temperature, so you select the decimal because that is the one that will give you room to put decimal, because if you select this number, it only allows you to put whole number. So let us know that if you have any question. Okay, let's change this question, please. Let's change this question. Let's say weight. Let's say the question is weight. What is your weight? What is your weight? Right? So the response should be in decimal because it's a continuous variable and may require you to have, to put decimals. So that's another option. Let's say you want to put, sometimes at the end of questionnaire, because you want to monitor your research assistant, you want to know that your research assistant have actually gone to the field to collect your data. You may want to ask them to share their GPS with you, their geographical location, where they are. So you can decide to say location, and then you choose this option of point, point, which will now, tells you where exactly the individual is if you click on that. Okay. Yes. Then these are other options, like if you want to record the date and time, if what you want to put is in date, the time. If you want to attach audio, well, these ones are not generally common, but let us know that there are many options that we can choose. Like point, so it gives an individual, option to share his location. So let's see, let's go and preview. Let's save first. After saving, we can preview and see what we have added. Yeah. So you can see for the weight now, it gives you room to put the weight, depending on how you want to put it. If we want to put 1.5, we can put 1.5. For the age that was in numeric, it may not give you room to put point, even if you want to add. So I am trying to put a point to it, but it does not, because I already selected, what I selected was the number, which was in whole number. But for this one, because I selected decimal, it's allowing me to put the point in between. So like if I want to say the individual is 1.5 kg, and you remember for the hint for this question, if we are certain, we can put like weight in kilogram, weight in kilogram, okay? If it is height, we can specify whether it is in centimeters, whether it's in inches, whether it's in meters, that we want to record our height, and that will be done under that question hint. If we had put it, we would have seen it under here, but we can still go ahead and add it and see how it will appear. And this one gives the location. So that also allows the individual to share his location, right? Where he is. But there is this one. So wherever an individual is, it tells the research assistants at the end, by the time he finishes collecting data, it gives him room to select his location. Okay. Maybe because it is preview, but ideally, when you click here, it detects the location, and then at the end, there will be somewhere it gives you room to save. Okay, just like we know, I'm sure if we have seen some other online questionnaires that allows you to, click on that icon for GPS. It detects your location, and then you click on save and it saves the location. So these are some of the things that we can all add to our online questionnaire. Okay. So, yes. So as I was saying, for the height, that if we want to add the hint, so that whoever our research assistant is will know that we want to collect our weight in kilogram. If it is in kilogram, if we want to collect in gram, we collect in gram, but let us be specific to what unit of measurement we want the weight to be collected. So also similar to the height, if we want to collect it in a centimeter, depending on the unit of measurement, we can as well do that. So basically, this is how we do this, is how we create our online questionnaire. So I want us to move to the next part of this presentation, is so what happened next after we have created our online questionnaire, right? What happened after we create our online questionnaire? Please, am I still visible and audible?
Yes, ma.
Yes, ma.
Okay. So remember, after doing all this, you have to save, you have to keep saving. So now I have built my form, I have built my questionnaire. Remember, you can have as many questions as possible, but this is how you go. For each question you add, you go and select the question type, and then you put the settings, and then you move to the next question. And remember, each question you put, it should have a label, please. Any option that you give, please remember you have to go to the right-hand side corner and give it a label. The SPSS understands only numeric. And for the analysis, that is what it will use for your analysis. However, the text will still be maintained. But if you don't put label, it may not, that analysis may not be feasible. So it's basically it's something that you have to do. Now, after doing this, I have already saved my form, which I had built. So what I need to do is to go back to the form here, and then so this is okay, this is an existing form that I have, but this is the new form that we built. Sometimes it's just, anyway, it comes here as default, but we can go and change the name if we want. So how we do that is we'll come to this right-hand corner and go to edit, sorry, not edit form, we'll go to the settings. So when we come to the settings, you can see form info, form media files, permission restrictions, and so on. So we can come here and edit and change the name, right? So if you click on edit form, it allows us to change this, whatever it has put by default. So what do we want to name our form? If it is your part 2 work, if it is your MPH, your master's in whatever specialty, give it a name. If it is an undergraduate, let's say UG6 and UG6 project or final year project. Or you can even give it the title of your research, something like that. Just any, say final year. So you give a description. You can give a description, maybe the title of the project, like this one is, I don't remember what the title is, but I remember there is antenatal care, something to do with waiting time. So if I've done that, I will save. Now, after doing this, you need to go to the end of the form. Okay, having done this, what we need to do, we have already changed the setting. We have put our name, we have given it a name. Then we go back. Okay, the name we have saved, then it has not put any. But one important thing is, please, after we have finished our form, somebody wants to say something? Let me see if I load whether it will pick the name. Okay. So after I have refreshed it again, it has picked the name that I gave it. Now, another important thing is, remember, we are going to share this form in form of web link. Whether you are doing it, whether you are the researcher is the one to collect the data, or you are sharing with research assistant, you will need the web link to be able to do this. So we need to also go and put, what do you call it? Remove restriction for that web link. So how we do that is we come here, this M where it says M here. Once you click it, or once your cursor is there, it gives you this option. So you go to the setting. This setting is different from the setting that we went here. Remember, at the project, that is where we want to change the name and do all other things. Now there's another setting here that we need to change. So it's at this right corner, you see there is M here. Depending on your name, I think how you register the project. So you go to the settings here. Okay. When you come here, this you see is just my profile info and the rest. Now there is authentication here that is required. The option here of yes says restrict data submission and access to form in this account only to users added to project with permissions. Users will be required to log in order to submit data forms. So in order to avoid all this stress, you select the no option, which allows anyone to submit data forms in this account here in K2 as long as they have the web form, that's the URL form, right? So if I select, already is here on default, but whenever you finish your questionnaire, you have to come and check. If it is on the yes, you quickly change it to no, because if it's here, even if you share form, individual will be asked to log in before they can sign, before they can fill the form. So, but you leave it open because you want respondent to answer it each free without any stress. So I've selected the option and I've saved it, and then yeah. So that is all I need for this. So I go back to my form. Okay. So now, after building your questionnaire, this is the form. Remember, we have not clicked it, we have not opened it. We just went around the settings. So let's see if I open it, how does it appear? Because this is not the questionnaire, this is now the form, my project or my form. Okay. Now this is how it appears. So what this is telling us under these activities, remember I told you when you create this online questionnaire, anybody that submit, it goes direct into your server. So what this record means is any submission that is made on that form, it will appear here. So anybody that submit, it will appear the first response, second response, and it will be updating the number up to your sample size, or until you finish collecting your data. So anytime you open, you will see how many have been submitted, so I know what is left for you. You have a questionnaire of sample size of 100, for example. You keep monitoring, or you keep monitoring the records that have been submitted until all your samples have been until your sample size have been reached. Okay. Now the next important thing is, how do we get this web form? Is from here you go to you see at the end here, you see if you want to submit data using web form, if you want using ODK collect, or if you want using import CSV or Excel. So the web form is generally easier, because for the web form, anybody that you share that link with will be able to open the link and fill in your questionnaire and send response. So all you need to do is to copy this web form share with your research assistants via their WhatsApp or email. And once they have that form, for every submission they want to do is just to click on the form again, and a new form, the questionnaire opens. They'll collect the data of the respondent and submit, and then they move to another respondent, click on the link, start asking the questions, they finish, they submit, continuously like that until you are done with your data collection. So it's generally easier. And for the web form, an individual doesn't have to have ODK. If you select the ODK, an individual must have to download the ODK app on his form, and then you now share the URL link. There is a way that he goes to the setting also for the ODK to input this your URL. Then once he input it, he will now be able to download this form. Okay, so it's in two ways, but the web form is generally easier, because what it means is whether an individual has ODK app or not, he'll be able to fill the questionnaire for you. Before, we mostly use the ODK, but that ODK, everybody must have the app. The ODK app is an application that you can only download on your Android phone. In fact, people that have iPhones cannot even, they cannot use this, they cannot collect data for you, because the Android phone, it does not allow, it's not every app that the Android phone allows for the download, so that's why the web form is preferred. Okay, so I hope we understand, because I'm sure some people are conversant with use of the ODK, but just remember that for the web form, you don't need to have the ODK app. If you select ODK, you must have the app for you to be able to, for you to be able to respond. So if you are to use ODK, for those that, for example, feel they prefer to use the ODK, you are to use ODK, so you need to copy this link and send to the research assistant. So when they download the ODK app, there is where in the settings in the ODK where you have to put this URL, and then that will now allow them to be able to download your questionnaire. Once you give them this URL, they'll be able to download the questionnaire. Okay, so but if we're using the web form, it's just for us to click on the web form link. It brings us here, then we copy the link. And see, there are different options here. Offline URL is the preferred, so that even if the individual does not have data or is not online, he will be able to still access the form and will be able to fill it. This allows only for single submission, which means once he collects data from one respondent, he cannot be able to collect from another respondent. So all this, it depends on the case, on the circumstance, and the situation. Maybe there are instances whereby you want individuals to make only single submission, like all these ones that are being sent online. You just want the individual to make single submission, right? These online questionnaires that are sent, once you fill one, you will not be able to fill another one. I'm sure we have this experience. But this one, since you want many researchers, in fact, not only one research assistant, many people, maybe you can have up to 10 research assistants, and you want each of them to have multiple submissions because you are collecting from different individuals. So yeah, depending on the one you want. So let's say we are going to use mostly for our research, we use research assistant. So I'm going to copy this offline URL. That is the one I need. So I copy it, right? So once I copy, I close, and then two options. One, if you have WhatsApp on your computer, like the one I have here, I'll just come to my WhatsApp, I'll look for my own, okay, instead of sending to myself, where is that ARD research, something. Yes, this education, that's where most people are, right, Mushaba, Dr. Mushaba? I think this is where most of our participants are, right, the group. So I'm going to share it on this group. So if I share the link, please, for some of us that are on this group, can you attempt to fill the questionnaire so that we'll see? And I will also share it on ARD, so that for those of us that are on ARD block can also fill. We're just using for.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, for the research.
So I've shared it on the research group.
Dr. Mustafa, help also copy the link and paste it to this our meeting chat. Thank you.
Okay, yes, please. We can do that. We can do that, please. So please, once we receive the link, let's try and answer. Let's see if it will open. Let's answer it and submit.
Yes, it has opened. We are filling it already, ma'am.
So please, let's submit.
You can also share with us here. We can fill the form.
Okay, I thought, Dr. Muchaba, are you doing that? The chat box for this meeting? Let me see, where is the chat? Is here, right? So I've shared it on the chat box. So please, let's try and respond. And because the next thing is, we want to monitor our responses, and then we want to, at the end, we want to download our data into SPSS, right? And we said that one of the advantages of this online questionnaire is we don't need to go and do manual entry. So the only challenge or the only difficult part of this online questionnaire is you having to sit down and create the form, putting all those restrictions and putting the skip logic and making sure that you select the appropriate question type. If it's one that needs text, you select text. If it's one that needs number, following all those key principles. So, but once you are able to do that, that's just the difficult aspect. Once you do that, then you are done. All other things will just come, will just be automatic. All your data will just move to SPSS within a flicker of seconds. And then the next thing is for you to know how to do the analysis, which I think will be taken in subsequent weeks. So please, after we do this, people should endeavor to attend the session for analysis, because that's also the trickiest part of, I think, research. Most of us are not conversant with the analysis, but with this, let's try and see that we maximize the benefit of this research series. So, have anybody submitted yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I've just refreshed the page. Are we seeing that there are 6 records there? Can we see?
Yes, ma'am.
See, under activity, we have 6 records, right? Dr. Mushaba, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
So we can see that we have 6 records, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we expecting more submissions, or we should just go ahead with these 6 records?
Yes, I
Maybe
think
you
we
can
should
try
come.
to refresh again, ma'am.
Maybe what? Okay,
Maybe you can try to refresh your page.
Maybe some people have submitted again. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
13. We are moving.
Okay, so I think it's okay since it's just for demonstration. So now, let's say my sample size is up to 250. So I will not export my data to SPSS until I have collected all my responses. Okay, and the idea behind this is for me to know how many responses. So I monitor, and once it reaches 250, I know that I'm not expecting any more responses. So let's say the responses I'm expecting are just 13, and okay, I have 16 now. So I'll work with the 16. So the next thing is to come to here, this part that says data exports. And I will now ask it to prepare my data for export because I want to take it to SPSS. Now, this file type, I need to change it. Now, there is what you call file extension. For most of our files, we have different file formats, like the Word document, the Excel. they all have different file extension, and the extension is those letters that you see at the end of the file name. I'm sure we are conversant with the Word document that at the end of every file name of Word document, you see .doc, right? So that is the file extension for a Word document. CSV that we're seeing here is a file extension for Excel. So if you notice that most of our Excel files may have either this CSV or XLS or .csv for Excel file. Now for SPSS, the file extension for SPSS is SAV. So you see .SAV at the end of each file name that is an SPSS file. So since I want to export my data directly to the SPSS, I'm going to select the file type to be SAV. And this is one advantage that the owner.io has over the Kobo toolbox. For the Kobo toolbox, it does not have room for this SAV. So you may have to select the Excel file and you have to do some, you have to do some other things anyway to get it to SPSS. For those of us that joined us last year, may remember that it was the CSV that we selected, and we had to go and do some running of data and so many other things. But for this one, we can just simply select our SAV. And once we do that, we export the file. Usually it's exported in form of zip folder. So this is what I have now. Okay, I've asked it to export it, and this is what I have here. So if I click on it, it will automatically download it. I don't know if we have seen that there is a download here, right? You can see the file has been downloaded. It says done. This one is a one that was there earlier 2 hours ago. So this is a new download, and I can go ahead and open it. Please, is this a zip folder visible on my screen?
Yes, ma.
Okay, so the next thing I need to do is either to click directly from here to open it, or I can decide to go to my download folders, open it, and then I'll select the folder, the file that I want, and it brings me here. However, remember that for you to do this, you must have SPSS installed on your computer. You must have the SPSS installed on your system. So if you don't have the SPSS, you may need to get one. Install it at least even before the lecture for the what do you call it, the data analysis. So once it brings me here, is already is an SPSS file. You can see what I told you, the file extension. You see it says data.sav, right? So all I need to do is to double click on it, and it's going to open into an SPSS page because I already have an SPSS software on my system. So let's give it time to open. You said what?
It's not showing.
Yes, but you are seeing it's still running, it's still trying to open.
Screen is not moving, ma.
The screen is not showing.
You have not shared your screen where you are downloading into SPSS.
Since when? Ah, okay.
We stop at the S.
Well, now it is it's trying to open the SPSS file, and I can't get control of the cursor until it finishes. So let it finish opening it. So since at which level did we stop seeing?
Where you showed us the downloaded files on the right side of the screen.
Okay. So now are we seeing the SPSS file because it has opened it now? Is it visible?
No.
Okay, so I need to stop sharing. I need to reshare again. That is basically what it means. So I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare so that I can share the SPSS window. And okay, let me share this one that you have not seen. So can we see this now?
Yes,
can we
ma'am.
see a small window? Can we see a small window that has an SPSS icon data.sav?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is where, after I clicked on that download, when I say it should open, this is where it brought me. And I double click on this SPSS statistics data. You can see it starts here, reach 30th August 2025, 11 something the time. So I double click on it. And when I double click on it, the next thing it does is that it opens the SPSS page. So is the SPSS page visible to you? Or I need to still reshare?
Yes, you need to reshare, ma.
Okay, that's fine.
This is not coming.
No problem, we'll share it. I will share the SPSS file now. Is it visible now? Are you seeing the SPSS file now? Are you seeing any different files?
Yes, ma.
Yes, ma. It's visible now.
So, and you can see the file name there at the top end, at the uppermost end, you see data.sav, data set 1, IBM SPSS 36 data editor, right? So this is the data, or the responses that you people have submitted. This is the responses. These are the responses that you people have submitted. And I think I didn't remember the last number, but what I have here is 19. I think I remember seeing 16. So probably maybe we have additional submission, but you can see that we're having 19 responses from the serial number on the left-hand corner. The last response that we have here is 19. Are we appreciating that?
Yes, ma.
Now, sorry, let me move this Zoom stop you from doing something. Take it down. Okay. So now look at our questions. Look at the first, okay, this first two columns, forget about them. You see, they are looking even so, congested and so. So it's just the start time and the end time that appears by default. You don't need them for your data analysis, so don't be disturbed about them. I forgot to tell us there is where in the settings that we can go and remove them if you don't want them to, to be part of what will be downloaded. But it doesn't really have much problem. All you need to do, if you want, you can delete them. So I don't know if we are conversant with SPSS or not, but let's try and follow. So it's just like Excel. If we're conversant with Excel, for Excel, if you want to click, if you want to delete, if you want to highlight the whole column, you click the topmost cell there, right? The topmost cell. Once you click it, it will highlight everything, the whole of that column. Remember, my columns are the ones that go vertical and my rows are the ones that go horizontal. Like this serial number 1, if I click on it, it's going to highlight the whole row 1, this row 1 up to the end of the data. So anyway, just for us to know, if we want to delete this column of start, we highlight, we click the topmost cell there, and I can click on my shift. I click on my shift and use my right hand to click on the right arrow so that I highlight the 2 columns, and then right click, and then I can either cut or I can clear. Whichever one I choose to do, I can do that. But that is not our concern. Anyway, let's just cut them and we have a better view. So these are our responses. Remember our first question there was consent, right? Whether the individual consent to answer the question or not. Now in our questionnaire, remember we put a note, isn't it? Do we remember? We put a note, an introduction. In the questionnaire, can we remember that in the questionnaire we have a note that says, dear Ama or dear sir, we are final year medical student, this and that. But we see that we are not seeing it here. We are not seeing it here. So it's only brought information that have those numeric, those values that I said we should make sure that we put those values for the options. But anyway, let's see. All these other things, they are not important. The duration that it took for us to finish filling the submitted by the X form, blah, blah. But remember, please, another important thing, in addition to our questionnaire number, we are supposed to have research ID. research assistant ID, sorry, is also part of what we need in our questionnaire. Why? Because if there is any issue with any question, with any response that we need to take note of, all we need to do is to trace the research assistant using that his research ID to know which research assistant filled this questionnaire. Okay, so we might decide to ask him if it's something that he can remember, maybe along the in the process of collecting the data, if there's any mistake or something that we can ask him and come here and do manual editing for that response. Now we can see that some people did not put the questionnaire number. And probably because when we are setting our question, we did not put that restriction for questionnaire number. So some people were able to skip it. I'm sure some people didn't know whether they should put questionnaire number 1, questionnaire number 2, or 3. So for this questionnaire number, let me also add to this that since you are going to have research assistants to collect data for you, so people may be wondering, okay, how do you go about the questionnaire number now? Which research assistant, which number should research assistant put? It is better for you to tell your research assistant that every research assistant should start his question from 1, questionnaire number from 1 until he finishes responses. But remember, there should be research assistant ID. So if, for example, we can create a new column here if you want. I am not going into data analysis, but if you want, we can create a column for research assistant ID. I can ask it to insert a variable here, which I can go to the variable. Don't worry about this. Is when you come for analysis, I can create a variable for the research assistant. Research assistant ID. There is something about SPSS for name. Anyway, I'm not going to teach us SPSS here, but let's remember that if you see all these questions that we put, SPSS does not accept space under the column for name. It does not accept space. So you see, the idea of creating your online questionnaire will save you the trouble of all those knowing where to create space, where there is no space, where you can put dash, where you can put underscore. It will, you know, the app, the owner, whatever, will do it automatically for you, and so it comes the way the SPSS file accepts it. You can see now that I'm trying to create this new variable. Initially, I put space before I remembered. If I had not put it, it will not accept it. If I put the space, it will tell me the file name is not blah, 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 blah. So to avoid that, try and create your questionnaire online, and it will save you all this problem. It will just be there for you by default. You don't have to do anything. So I'm creating a new column. It does not accept it, so I have to put underscore between the words. So research assistant ID, right, is the new column that I want to create, the new question, sorry. So if I go back here, you can see it here. So, okay, why did I bring this? I said, since you may have up to 1, 2, 3, 6 research assistants, it's advisable you ask each of them to start their questionnaire number from 1. Because, why am I saying this? Unless if you want to divide, you can also, another option is you can divide the questions. If you know your sample size is, for example, you have sample size of 300, you divide it by how many research assistants now? You divide it by maybe 6 research assistants, what would that be? 300, that would be, is it 50-50? Divide by 6. So you can ask maybe one research assistant to start his questionnaire number from 1, let's say to 50, another one from 51 to 100, another 100, and 1 to 150. You can do that. But in each case, the research assistant should still put his research ID. Now, if you don't distribute, if you decide to allow them to start from 1, okay, if you give them numbers, you know they are going to submit at different time. They are going to submit at different times. So even if you give them number, it's for the owner.io, for your online questionnaire, your website, your server, sorry, is going to record it according to the submission. It's going to record it according to the submission. So whichever question, whichever response comes first is the one that you will see first. Okay? Is the one that you will see first. So whether you give them portion or you allow them to start from 1, you still have to come and do some editing at the end, okay, when you get your data. But that should be covered, I think, during the analysis. But just know that your research assistant ID is important, your questionnaire number is important. This is because if there's any mistake, you know who to report to. And since you are recording, you are seeing your data as it is coming, you are seeing it. So if you notice any issue, all you need to do is to call the attention of the research assistant. I forgot to show us the display of the data in the other owner place. But if there's any issue, just quickly communicate with the research assistant because you are seeing his ID. Tell him that maybe this place, this is what you are supposed to ask, this is how you are supposed to put the question, depending. Especially the questions that require maybe writing in text or something like that. So now these are our responses, okay? Just for us to appreciate that any question that we ask, the responses are here. Our question 1 was on age, right? And see the different ages. Somebody puts -10. I'm sure it is a mistake. So, but this is our age in years. This is our tribe. And you see it's appearing in the tribe, even though text is appearing in the numeric value that we gave it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But if we want to view the text also, all we need to do is to come here where it says A. I don't know if we have seen, and we see one icon. Is my cursor visible? So there is an icon here that has 1 or number. So just look at my cursor at the top where you see 1 and A. So A for the text, if we want to see it in text, we can still see it in text. If we want to see it in the values that we gave, it will still come in values. Now, remember, some people chose specify. So people have selected specify and they were able to see. So these are other tribes in addition to the other ones that we gave. So when you come to analysis, basically you have to do the analysis for these other ones and then it will capture others. If you want descriptives to see how many of those that specify, how many are NIPI, how many are this, you have to do as another analysis for that specify. But I will not go into that. A session for analysis will be taken later. So, but just let's appreciate our responses are here in our SPSS, and all we need to do is just to do the data cleaning, like removing all those, the start and end time that we don't need. Then for our questionnaire number, we have to rearrange it, so that it goes in serial number. Okay. Yes, we'll be told during the analysis that there is need for us to create a serial number column for serial number that will follow the normal serial number. We'll create serial number from 1 to our last sample size, let's say from 1 to 300. If we create it, it will follow the responses as they were submitted. So you can see all the information. What's your source of information? Some people selected 1, 2, 3, and then these are the specific responses here for those that selected. All the source of information, all those options, they will appear. So I think this first one was radio, this TV. So anybody that selects radio, it will appear as 1 for him. If he selects also this one, it will still appear as 1. But if he does not select, it will appear as 0. You can see these other options that this first respondent did not select are appearing as 0. Okay. For this second respondent, he did not choose radio, he did not choose TV, he did not choose this, he chose only the last option, which I think was either family and friends also. So it's only the selected option. The selected option will appear as 1, while all others will appear as 0. So when we come to do analysis, we will be able to analyze those that selected radio source, those that selected this, those that selected many. We'll be able to see that. I'm not going to take us into that. The location, it gave the longitude and the latitude. So what again? So all these other ones, this version, we don't need it. This instant ID, we don't need it. All these all these things that look like Greek. We don't need them. So all we need to do is, as part of the data cleaning that we'll do, is just to highlight all those columns and we delete. The submission date, well, if we need it, we can leave it. If we don't need to. Then this index is basically like the serial number that I say we'll create. We can just decide to highlight, copy it, and bring it to the beginning. We want it to come to the beginning, usually before we start our analysis. And the person taking the analysis will explain the reason for us. And then, yeah, so had it been that we have more questions, you'll see that all those questions will keep, you keep seeing them up to your last question. If, for example, you have up to 50 questions, you just keep moving through those questions. Okay, so if we don't do if we are to do the hard copy questionnaire, all this information that you're seeing is either we'll come and sit down, we'll pick each questionnaire and imputing, putting the responses one by one until we finish with one respondent. Then we pick another second questionnaire that was filled by someone. We fill all the information. We go to the third, we fill it. It's either we do it by ourselves or sometimes people pay other people to, to do that for them. But in that instance, there can be a lot of mistakes, sometimes even during the data entry. There can be some mistakes can be there. If you sit down, just get time, create time, sit down, create your online questionnaire, make sure you do it right. And then you are done with all these challenges of error in the data or missing data or any other thing that could be a challenge if you are to do the manual entry. So, well, I think with this, yeah, basically, I think this is what we need to know about the online questionnaire. We should know how to build the form. We should know how to export it to SPSS. Then we should know all the necessary things that we need to know regarding the building of the form. And we should know that as soon as we are done with that, we can monitor our responses. And when we get to the end, we can decide to decide to export and do our analysis. But remember, you can export, like now we have just 16 responses, we can export to the SPSS, check if there are any issues, and then if you see any issue, just to rectify it, go back to the form, do some editing, you save it, and then you reshare the link, and then whatever you edited will be picked from that instance. And then the research center will continue to submit that, you'll be able to continue to submit your responses until your sample size is reached. And even in the case that you have maybe your sample size exceeded its limits, maybe some people continue to, collect responses. You can just, after you have exported to SPSS, you just highlight the added numbers that you don't need, and then you delete as appropriate. So, yeah, I think this is what I have for us for today, and I hope the session is clear. And I hope we have followed, and we should. Even if we don't get everything from this, yes, please, even if we don't get everything from here, let's try and learn more and see how we can imbibe the habit of doing this online questionnaire, please. And there are instances where some people have difficulty. Maybe the people, if you send the web link, for example, if you are not using Research Assistant, if you send the web link, some people have difficulty, people will not respond, it will take time. And maybe some people will say they would prefer to fill the hard copy. Now, since you already have your hard copy on the Word document, it's just for you to print, give them. And if you give them to fill the hard copy, you can still collect the hard copy, use your phone to enter that hard copy and submit so that it will just go direct. So you don't need to come and put those hard copy manually, but you can put it back on the phone in case you have issues like that. I have had, some people have experience with that. And those are some of the suggestions that we give them to just collect the filled hard copy questionnaire, put it back on the phone and submit it so that it will go direct to your server and you can export to your SPSS. The idea is just for you to be able to export your data to SPSS directly, because that's what you need for data analysis. And you want your data to be as accurate as possible before you analyze. So basically, that's the idea behind this online questionnaire, so that you don't have to have problems data entry, having inaccurate data, missing data, and so many things like that. So I think that brings Dr. Bushaba, if there are questions or comments, we can entertain some and then we close the session for today. Thank you for listening. If some people have some
Thank you
additions,
so much,
there are
Ma,
some
for
additions.
thank you so much for the insightful lecture. People have so much appreciated. I can see a lot of comments here and there, and I saw how people are so attentive in the lecture. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your effort. So if there is any question or comment, we can drop it on the chat box, or I think you're allowed to unmute, so one can indicate by raising hand and ask a question or comment. Thank you so much for following and for listening. Most of the questions on the chat box are compliments. This one is saying, thank you so much, Ma. I planned a lot. Thank you, Ma. This one is saying, thank you so much for the insightful lecture. Will this be made available? Yes, it will be made available. So any comment, question?
Comments, please.
Okay, so
Comment,
you can
please.
go ahead. Yes, you can go ahead.
My name is Bola Obisheson from Family Dentistry. I have to commend Dr. Asmau Wali for this beautiful lecture. It has been a very wonderful presentation, and I do pray that such will continue in the interest of training of our residents. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the commendation. Any comment or question? Actually, Dr. Asma Wali has been on this for several years now. She has been chairing this for UDUTH, and I'm sure she will continue, not only as resident, as consultant, as professor. Thank you so much, ma.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall.
Any other comment? I think the lecture is well understood. I can see people have asked their questions actually along the line as we are following. It has been an interactive session. So thank you so much, Ma, once again for the insightful lecture. We really appreciate. May Allah reward you abundantly. Thank you, the participants. Thank you for joining us to our ICT. Thank you, Dr. Abdulkadir Bello Katagum. Thank you so much for your efforts. On behalf of the Supreme Congress of ARD UDUTH, the Education and Research Committee, ably led by Dr. Asma Wali and our able presenter, I thank you all for joining. Looking forward to our subsequent lectures. So far, so good. We have 2 lectures remaining, the basic statistic and research, and then the data analysis, which are coming in the subsequent weeks, God willing. Thank you so much. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mushaba. See you next time.
Thank you so much, ma. Thank you, ma.